And welcome to the Redmen TV. Liverpool drew 3-3 in Sevilla. My match reaction. I'm shell-shocked, to be honest with you. I think the team was shell-shocked second half. You know, we come out, we have a good first half. I didn't think we managed the game particularly well in the first half, but that second half for me showed that there was a real lack of leadership, and I'm not pointing fingers at one player here, I'm pointing fingers at 11 players. Not one of those players stood up second half and tried to take control of the game of football, not until Emre Can come on, and Emre Can was the one who was fighting for everything, trying to put his foot on the ball, trying to win tackles back, trying to stop Eva Banega, just completely dictating play. This Liverpool side for me can be so good when they're on the front foot, but when they're asked questions, when questions are asked of them, you know, and it's completely, here's the thing, it's completely different coming from behind and trying to get a result to being in a lead and trying to hold on for it. You need a completely different set of, a different mentality to be able to withstand that pressure, and the truly great sides still come through and still get victories. Right now we're not a truly great side, but I'm not discounting the rest of the season so far. That's a massively disappointing result for me. The fact is, Spartak Moscow can beat us and go through. And that's the thing. We had one foot in the knockout stages of the Champions League and we took a step backwards. And we really did. And every single one of those players, and Jurgen Klopp need to take a look at themselves, because second half we come out and didn't look like we were expecting that, and we should have expected that. That's Sevilla fighting for a record of not losing at home for months. And you don't get into a situation like that as a professional footballer and think, we'll just give this up. That doesn't happen. They fought for that record for however long it was, through however many games it was, and they weren't going to give that up. And Liverpool should have been expecting that second half, and we weren't able to deal with it. You know, Eva Banega completely ran the show second half. There was no one out to him. He was in acres of space. Klopp makes a double substitution. It was the right substitution for me. I think Alberto Moreno needed hooking, needed benching, and we needed that extra man in midfield who's looking and willing to fight for everything. And Can come on and made a difference, but it wasn't enough. Ultimately, what happened is what we've seen happen before. We've conceded from a corner. Now Klavan gets the flick on, and I'm not having a go at anybody here in particular, but a guy, and the second balls have been our problem. I'll get into the comments in a bit. What's his name? Peruzzi? What was his name? Sorry, I've forgotten. The guy who scored the third goal, regardless, right? Doesn't matter. He shouldn't be able to take a touch in the 7 yards out, or whatever it was, 6 yards out, 8 yards out. Doesn't matter. Should not be able to get a touch before he takes the shot. He should be forced into shooting first time there. And I don't know who the Liverpool players were. And listen, I've analysed Liverpool's zonal marking, and Lucas Leiva's taught me about it, and I've read so much about zonal marking schemes. There was not two banks there of players. It just seemed like there was one bank of players. I've not watched the goal back, I'll be perfectly honest, and I might be completely wrong on this. But where were the other guys? Why weren't they out to him? Why was he able to take a touch that close to our goal and smash the ball into the net? You know, let's be honest. Although we had a good first half, I did have question marks at half-time. I brought them to Paul on the half-time live, is that we didn't manage that game well, and not just for one half. We didn't manage that game well for both halves. And there was a I don't know whether it was arrogance. We've just recorded the instant match reaction, so I thought that it might have been arrogance. I'm not sure if I'm quite that far that it was arrogance from Liverpool's second half, but we just were not ready for what Sevilla and what that stadium, what their fans threw at us. Let's not take anything away from Sevilla in this game. They're a good side who fought back from 3 goals down against the odds, against a good Liverpool side. This isn't a crap Liverpool side. Crap Liverpool sides don't win 3-0s and 4-1s and another couple of 3-0s over the last, you know, since the last loss. That's a draw away at Sevilla. A seasoned European side. Yeah, I'm pissed off. Of course I'm pissed off. It's horrible to watch. It's horrible to see your team do that. The team capitulated on the night. That's what happened. Alberto Moreno capitulated on the night, but I'm not ready to throw him under the bus yet, because he's had about 16 games there that he's been top class in. Yeah, that's a guy who's maybe got a little bit emotional, maybe got caught up, lost in the moment, being back at his own ground, and it's not good enough. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm really not. That performance from Alberto Moreno was not good enough tonight. But that does not define his season. And that result does not define Liverpool's season. Because we can kick on. I'll tell you one thing. We're not going to take Chelsea lightly at the weekend. We're not going to turn up there and think we can win. This should kick us on now. This should make us realise that there's still, as good as things have been going over the last few weeks, there's still areas of improvement. And of course there are areas of improvement. Areas to improve, because we're not top of the league, and we're not top of our Champions League group, and we're not, well, all right, we are top of our Champions League group, but we're not in the next round, and we should have been, and that's a massive result, it really is, and I'm pissed off, I really am, because, like, we could have been resting players before the derby, and maybe that's not something Klopp would have done, but for me, as a fan, looking ahead, that would have been a big game to be able to rest a few key players. Mo Salah on the evening looked tired to me, and he's played a lot of football. That midfield, as much as the defence will come under flak for me, that midfield tonight of Henderson, Wijnaldum and Coutinho, second half, did nothing. Nothing whatsoever until Emre Can come into that game. They lost that game for me, anyway, for us, I think, because they were nowhere near where they need to be, and we make the changes, Klopp makes the changes, he goes to that like 4-5-1 almost. That's not something that Liverpool have practiced. I can tell you that for free. I'll tell you that because one pass, 3 times it happened, maybe 4, just gets through everybody. They should know how to play that, not because they've trained it, because we come up against it every bloody week, do you know what I mean? They should have some kind of an idea of where you are and where you're supposed to be. But there's just men flying everywhere, getting drawn towards the ball, but not Banega. And it was just a shit show second half. It really was. It wasn't good enough. I'm going to get into some of the comments anyway. Yeah, so here we go. Jamie Howson, Henderson can't control the game. Why does anyone think he can? It truly baffles me. Listen, Hender was the only player intercepting balls in the midfield, said Sarah Smith. Henderson Wijnaldum forgot how midfield works, says Mr. Blue Skies. Henderson needs to go, not a leader, nor a playmaker. Now, here's the thing, right? And I have been on Twitter and I have seen all the leadership stuff, and obviously I've just said there, no leadership on the thumbnail. I agree with that and I back what I've just said, but I don't blame one player for that, because it's not just the captain who has to be able to step up and fight when things get rough. You know what I mean? That's not how football works. It's a team game. The captain's there. Of course he's there. Of course you want to see your captain doing more than everybody else, fighting for everything more than everyone else, giving his all, giving 110, 120, 130%, doesn't matter. Of course you want to see that, but I want to see it from every Liverpool player. I'm not asked about just pointing one finger at one player like Jordan Henderson and saying because he's had a bad game, he's not leadership until he's not a Liverpool player. He's absolutely a Liverpool player. Whether he's Liverpool's captain or not, I'll let you decide on that. But like we needed leaders across the pitch. You know what I mean? Across the pitch, not just one. One leader doesn't change that result. Everyone fighting for one cause changes that result, and that's what a team is, and that's what football is. It's a frigging team game. Robertson or Milner left back at the weekend, says Mark Meehan. For me, no. You know, I know he's had a bad game. He's had an absolute shocker there, but that's a tough thing to do, I'm sure, as a footballer. You know, he grew up there. He had the first part of his career there. He's had bad memories against Sevilla for us. Whether you take him out the firing line, yeah, that could be the answer. It could be what Jurgen Klopp decides to do. Could be James Milner that comes in. Or do you put the arm around him and you go, you know what, mate, you've had 16 or 17 or whatever it is, boss games, you've had one blip. Put the arm around him, see what he can do, hope for a little bit of fight that wasn't shown this evening. Because look, Moreno gives the free kick away. He's the front postman when Ben Yedder gets in. He gives the penalty away after poor control from a pass from Phil Coutinho. Picks up a needless yellow card as well. You know, he's made a catalogue of errors in that game, and he was quite rightfully hooked, and I've said that. But whether I'd chance ruining his season from one bad performance, I'm not sure I would, because right now I think it's clear Klopp thinks he's the number one left back at the club, and he's been playing really well. And again, just like I'm not going to throw one player under the bus from the field, I'm not throwing one player under the bus from the defence either. Flip side, I thought Gomez was good, Lovren was good, Klavan okay, Gini Wijnaldum for me just missing, just absolutely missing, and that might be one of them things, and I've talked about it loads, about that, like you see a little bit more of what Wijnaldum does when you're there. I didn't see anything from the telly from what he did. I might be completely wrong. I'll speak to people who are at the game. I'll watch the game back before we do the final word. Hopefully a little bit of emotion will be out of it and stuff like that. But there we go. Lo Moreno, fuck's sakes, what's wrong with people on here, says Jamie Howson. Who's saying Lo Moreno? Christian Gill, this is Klopp's fault. Should have bought a top-class centre-back in the summer. Lovren, Clavinham and Moreno not good enough. Christian, I get your frustrations, I truly do, but it's not the summer anymore. Like, yeah, I know that. I know we should have bought a centre-back. I completely agree with you. Every Liverpool fan does. But we've just got to live with it now, you know what I mean? Matip should be back for the weekend, hopefully. Lovren's had a good game there, redeeming game for me almost. Moreno's been sound so far. Gomez is in good form and was good tonight against Nolito. Nolito, you know, he was good first half, but second half, I think Joe Gomez really got a handle on how to deal with him. And I think, you know what? He didn't get much support from Mo Salah either. He was dealing with Nolito, who's a class professional footballer, all on his own in some difficult situations. And I think, to be fair to him, he come out on top there. So there you go. Moreno out, Lovren out, Clavinham out, Tom LFC 98. When Alden was a go, says Ty Randall. As a fella just says poo. And there you go. Sublime to a shambles. First half finishing to second half performance. That's my match reaction. Don't forget to give the video a like, regardless of whether you think the result was good, bad or indifferent. One final thing to say, and that is that we are still top of this Champions League group. And you know what? It's still in our hands, and we're a better side than Spartak Moscow. And I think we're a better side than Sevilla over the 2 games. I think we've shown that. But fair play to Sevilla. Good result for them. Great comeback for them. But if this Liverpool side can still get into the last 16 of the Champions League, we're good enough. We've got a good enough squad, and we're in good enough form. You know, we've scored 3 goals against Sevilla away from home. Not many teams do that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to everyone who's commented, and I'll see you next time on the Player Ratings Show in just a few minutes.